startup using a novel approach to reduce the glycemic impact of foods and deliver digestive health benefits. I caught up with Professor Robert Lustig, who is Chief Medical Officer at the company, at Future Food Tech in San Francisco, to find out more.
Understand that the fiber in food has been removed by the processed food industry for its own purposes, in part for shelf life, because fiber means low shelf life. Well, that fiber is good for you. You need it because it's the food for your microbiome. So taking it out is a problem. What Biolumen does and what Biolumen is it's a combination of both soluble and insoluble fiber. It is a micro-cellulose sponge, okay, powder. You swallow it, it expands 80-fold in the stomach, so giving you a feeling of mechanical distension or a feeling of fullness. Mm-hmm. But when it expands, it exposes the nooks and the crannies in the sponge where the hydrogels, the soluble fiber, is hiding. And those then sequester, quarantine, if you will, glucose, fructose, sucrose, simple starches, rendering them unavailable for early absorption.
So you
in
would
the
consume
intestine.
these fibers in conjunction with your foods, either as an addition or just before?
Right. So you could either pour it on
Yes.
the food, because it comes in a sachet,
Yeah.
or you could add it to the food like in a yogurt,
Yeah.
or you could bake it into food,
Yes.
like for instance a baked good, or microwave lasagna, or chocolate, and you wouldn't even know it was there because it's colorless, odorless, tasteless, and textureless.
And it's effectively reducing the glycemic impacts of some of these foods.
Right. It reduces absorption of glucose by 36%, fructose by 38%, sucrose by 42%, and simple starches by 9%, thus reducing the glycemic excursion, thereby reducing the insulin response, thereby maintaining insulin sensitivity. In addition, because that food moves through the intestine unabsorbed, the microbiome has a chance to chew it up instead. And so we know that we're feeding the gut because we have a 60% increase in short-chain fatty acid production.
So, in terms of the key benefits to the consumer, how do you communicate this? Is this about reduced glycemic impact? Is this about supporting gut health? Is this about reducing the caloric impact of some of these foods?
Right. All the above. Now, we don't have data on weight loss yet. We are doing clinical trials very specifically to look at that question. But we do have data on gut health, and we do have data on caloric balance. And so far, we have seen only benefits. Now, one question is, if you increase fiber, will you increase gastric distension? Will you have diarrhea, etc.? We know that we increase carbon dioxide production 15% over control, which means it's working, and at 15% we don't anticipate any significant or meaningful side effects. Those people who have taken Biolumen thus far, myself included, found no GI distress and no changes in stool consistency.
Is the data that you've got in vitro data using artificial stomachs and so on, or is it sort of human data?
Right. So we have a lot of in vitro data using this SHIME system, simulated human intestinal microbial ecosystem from Belgium. And we now have a little bit of human data, at least acute administration. We are now conducting clinical trials to get more long-term data.
So how would the fibers be labeled on the ingredients list?
So it would be listed as Biolumen, which would be cellulose, and then there's a set of proprietary hydrogels, which can probably be stated as such, but if necessary, we will be able to list each one.
So how does this compare to other commercially available fibers on the market, like inulin, for example?
Every fiber that's on the market today is a soluble fiber. So psyllium, inulin, pectin, okay, things that hold jelly together. Now, those are all globular. Those are miscible. You can put them into food, you can bake them into food, and that's all well and good. But soluble fiber only does two things. that benefit the gut. Ours, because it's a soluble, insoluble fiber matrix, does 6 things to help the gut. So we are not just additive, but synergistic in terms of both metabolic and gut health.
So what is the business model at Biolumen? Are you going to be supplying like a B2B kind of ingredient supply? How are you going to get to market?
We're going to do both. We're going to do B2C, that is direct to consumer, and it will be as a supplement, a sachet or capsule, and we will also do it as B2B, and that is engage in partnerships with other companies to be able to incorporate Biolumen into their various foods, and that's why we're here at FFT.